Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kodiak Copper. We're sitting here once again with Claudia. We wanted to have a discussion around copper prices and the potential influences on it coming up here in the future. But first off, Claudia, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's a heat wave here in Vancouver at the moment, so reasonably hot. And as is the copper market has been over the last year for sure.
Yeah. Copper did pretty well in 2020. I mean, everything was kind of a rough time in 2020 for a lot of people. But how do you see 2021 so far? I mean, the price was still doing relatively well, but where do you see it going from here, and what do you think is really affecting it?
Well, copper price has seen all-time highs this year already
Mhm.
and has pulled back a little bit in recent weeks. I'm sure there will be more fluctuation. What's no question in my mind is that in the long term, we're in for a sustained period of elevated copper prices, just because the fundamentals look phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, copper is used in a lot of things, and it seems like as industry is starting to becoming more and more online, I really hope we're out of this COVID thing. There's always something happening, this and that, but hoping the lockdowns are gone. I'm gonna cross my fingers on that one. Do you think with everything opening up, we could see copper getting a lot more use, and then potentially the price continuously rising?
Yeah, I mean, the real driver for copper is the green revolution and electrification.
Mhm.
And if you just look at all the industry developments there, like there are most car companies not planning to sell normal combustion engine cars anymore beyond whatever it is, 2020, 2030, or
Yeah.
even earlier. So it's really in full swing and accelerating this green revolution. And everything with green in its name, whether it's electrical cars, whether it's wind energy, solar energy, all needs a lot of copper. So there is a huge wave of demand, copper demand in the making, and not very much supply to match it at all.
Yeah, that's you bring up a really good point there. And it seems like, yeah, the green revolution is just picking up steam. It's just continuously speeding up. You mentioned the EVs going to be the norm here within 10 years, which is really weird to think about that the combustion engine is going to be phasing out here. That's going to be one for the history books. But yeah. So copper is again used in all of those things, and the demand for it just seems like it's going to continuously increase from that.
Mhm. And the real interesting picture is the supply side as well, because there hasn't been much copper exploration and much copper discovery for a sustained period of time now. Like since the last commodity boom, really sort of in
Yeah.
the early 2000s, and then sort of mid 2000s, it's been quite a downturn for many years, and very little exploration happened. And I just read some time ago a statistic that I found quite amazing. In the last 10 years, less copper was discovered than in 1991, which was good year for copper discovery
Mhm.
alone. So
Wow.
just not many projects in the pipeline. There are a number of mines that are getting old and production is declining.
Mhm.
And there's still a handful of mines coming on like this year, next year, sort of in the near future, but then there's nothing behind. So peak copper will be 2, 3 years down the road, and then there's a decline. And yeah, many projects, new projects will be needed to make up for that decline and just fuel that demand that we see.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how big of a supply crunch it winds up being because like the demand just is continuously going as we had discussed. But all right, Claudia, is there anything else you want to add before we go?
I think we've covered it. I'm very bullish on the copper market, as I said. Um, I see high prices for a sustained period of time, and Kodiak's obviously in the business of filling that supply gap with our exploration work and our discoveries.
Wonderful. Well, guys, we'll get you some more updates about Kodiak as they come along the wire here. So stay tuned. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to send them over to us. We'll be happy to answer them. And Claudia, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Michael.